Hey YouTube, you are back with Jessica Amy Rose, and today I thought I would do a little video about my rare conditions. Just because I've recently discovered this amazing, let's say, community of people on Instagram and YouTube, and it's been really helpful because I'm still quite new to these conditions. For a very long time I thought they were other things because they were misdiagnosed, and since kind of learning what I have, it's just been like this amazing community of people, and I thought it'd be really nice to open up and give some insight as to what these rare conditions are, and maybe it can help other people who are new to them as well, just because I knew that for me the most helpful and kind of comforting thing was looking up videos of people who shared the same conditions or syndromes. So I just thought by opening up, maybe it might be nice for other people too, and it's sure nice to talk about it and hear from other people who have it. So please do get in touch with me either on Instagram or on here, leave a message in the comments if you want to chat. I'm always here if people want to talk about it or have questions to ask. So let's get started. I'm going to start with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because that's probably the main umbrella of conditions that I have, and other conditions that I have are kind of, they go kind of hand in hand with them. A lot of them are harmonious, or what's the word? A lot of them are synonymous with each other, so they kind of, you get one, you more likely have the other. Some aren't, but let's just go from there first. So I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 3. Now I've looked up the on Wiki, or not Wiki, but actual medical, or not Wikipedia, like actual medical websites about what these are, so I can just read out a description of the syndrome or disorder, or whatever you want to call it, condition, and then kind of what that means to me and how I experience it, because everyone experiences these things differently. So I have Ehlers-Danlos type 3. It means you're really stretchy skin, so I can do really creepy things like stretch my skin out. I'm not going to do it now because it will look really creepy and I'll probably mess up my makeup, my contouring. So but yeah, it means you've really stretchy skin. Your joints are also highly mobile. I'm just going to read this, to be honest. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a group of rare inherited conditions that affect connective tissue. So, connective tissues provide support in skin, tendons, ligaments, blood vessels, internal organs and bones. So everything. It's kind of like a lack of collagen in the body. Basically, yeah, you don't have, your support tissues are not as strong as they should be, which means you get hypermobile kind of experiences with your joints. It really affects people differently. Like, I scored 7 out of 9 on the Baton scale, or the Brighton scale, is it? I don't actually know which scale it was, but I know that I scored not as high as I could do, but fairly high. So it means I do get a lot of dislocations and subluxations if I'm not careful. I mostly use walking sticks to go out, well, not walking sticks, like crutches, because I've been quite ill with other things that I'll get onto in a minute, hence the feeding tube. My joints have been really bad because I've been really weak and not had as much energy, so I've been using crutches as I go around. But look what I found on eBay! It's so pretty! I found a purple crutch and it's got reflectors that look, I'll try and show you them. They look a bit like jewels, so I'm absolutely loving this crutch. This was £20 off eBay. I only got one to begin with, but I'm definitely going to get another one. The only thing is I can't find one in pink, so if anyone finds a crutch in pink that doesn't have that old lady floral design on it, like all the ones on eBay do, please link me, because I really want a pink one. I found turquoise ones, which I'm going to get as well, because I thought it'd be really cool if you had one of each colour. But yeah, I use those as a mobility aid to get around, just because otherwise, if I don't use a crutch, I'll find that I get really bad pain in my legs, in my joints, that my ankles are prone to subluxations and dislocations, which means if I'm not walking with that, I can have some real big problems. And I've also got special insoles that are made for me because I went to see a gait doctor, and basically check your gait and how you walk and stuff like that. And basically, as I was walking, my feet were turning so in, and I know from being on Facebook groups that lots of people with EDS have this problem as well. I've seen so many. I didn't know why all my shoes are getting destroyed. I don't even have one near me to show you, but a lot of my shoes, they just go on the inside, they rub away, and then you're walking, your ankle always goes So like when I walk, I do that sometimes anyway, so I can't walk in heels, I do it in bloody flats as well. It's because my ankles, they don't have enough support where they should do, so I'm very unsteady and my ankles just go, and then that makes for a really nice tumble down the street. It's really great fun when you're on your own as well. I've like chipped my knee before from my leg just doing that randomly, and I fractured my shin under my knee, and I've fallen down the stairs and I fractured my bone here. Like, it just makes you really accident prone. Like, I'm really klutzy with it. But yeah, so these really help, because if I don't use them, I'm in a lot of pain where I've just been relying on supporting my body with my bad, unsteady joints. So they really help. Like, I used to have so much pain beforehand, and first I got diagnosed with ME, which is like chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia, and I was like, okay, but this is really painful. Like, the being tired thing, that's cool, I can deal with that, but the pain is just unreal. Like, every day it feels like your bones are trying to grow out of your body, and I suffer worst on my bottom half. So like, my wrists are really bad, they click. I don't know if you can hear it. But yeah, another part of EDS is you with that hypermobility, because you're so hypermobile, it means that they extend where they shouldn't do because there's a lack of tissue. So I can do creepy things like pull my thumb all the way back round, I don't know if you can see that, and I can put my knees right in, and I can twist my hand, like my wrist, the whole way around, like a few times. It's really creepy. Like, I can turn it the whole way around, and it's just a bit, it's a nice party trick. But yeah, I don't do it a lot because it does cause a lot of pain afterwards, and it's not worth, you kind of damage your joints. You're not supposed to do these things, but sometimes you can't help yourself, especially when people are asking what that is. You're like, oh, it's this and this, and they're like, it's just creepy. Like when you put your fingers all over each other, that's a really cool one. But yeah, that is EDS. Some of the other symptoms that you can get with it is, it just says, yeah, skin that bruises easily. Oh, here's a good one. So, because I just come out of hospital, this is a week ago they did this. They tried to put a cannula in me. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a huge, I know it's probably from the lighting, you can see it there. I'm trying to see a better way of, it's like the worst angle. There's like a really, I can't do it, I'm trying. Like, I'm really trying this, but yeah, there's this huge bruise here from where they put a little tiny needle here, and it just didn't go in. The veins kept collapsing because they were so dehydrated, and I just bruised like a peach. I came out looking like a bloody heroin addict with all these needle marks on my arm from different cannulas and blood tests. It's great, and they're all bruised, so it's just like this huge bruised arm. But yeah, so you're kind of a bit more, let's say, like a little bit fragile, but you can live around it. There are definitely ways that can help you kind of keep it all at bay and keep it all in check. Just so I don't talk too long about anything at once, you know, I'm going to put little dividers at the bottom if you want to skip a section or it's not relevant to you. So the next thing, I mean, that's just touching the tip of EDS. EDS is a huge thing, and I think you need its own 15-minute video just to go into all depth about it. But I find that for me, mobility is the thing I suffer with it. So the next thing is Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. Try learning how to say and spell that. Every time you go to hospital, it's like, what do you have? Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia. And they're just like, I don't know what this is. Apparently, my cardiologist said that it's only had a name for the last couple years, like it's still quite a new thing. EDS gets overlooked, POTS gets overlooked massively. Lots of people get incorrect or misdiagnosed. So I definitely had that for 5 years. I thought I had other things. So it is a difficult one. It says POTS is characterised by too little blood returning to the heart when moving from a lying down to a standing up position. Symptoms can include, but are not limited to, fainting, dizziness, lightheadedness when standing from a reclining position. So I definitely have this. I struggle with this so much. I'm actually in the middle of moving house right now because I cannot deal with the amount of stairs in my house, like literally. There are times that my boyfriend has had to carry me up the stairs because I'm just like having a fainting spell. It's really not fun, especially when there's like stairs to get into my house and then stairs to go upstairs to the kitchen and the living room. It's just not ideal. So this basically is, I find this most when I go from lying down to standing up. So if I'm lying down, my heart rate is still quite high. It's like 80 to 90, 100. 80 is like the best it will ever get, and it never really hits that normally. But if I do, I'm like, oh damn, I've got a good heart rate today, and other people are like, are you crazy? That's really unfit. But I find that if I go from a sitting position, it goes up by about 10 or 20. If I go to standing, it'll go up by 30, 40, and forget going to the gym. Like I used to go to the gym, and it would hit 200 there every time, every single time. You feel like you're gonna die. Your heart, it starts like playing with your respiratory system, and I actually got told I had really severe asthma when I have asthma, but the main problem is the POTS attacks. Like my heart rate will go so fast, I get palpitations, I get breathless, and they always go, oh, you're having a panic attack? Oh, you're not wheezing, it's not an asthma attack, it's a panic attack. And I was like, I'm not generally, I get a bit of anxiety like everyone. I think that's to be expected when you have so many conditions that are wrong with you and your body, but like I don't have severe anxiety. I'm a very talkative, happy, chirpy person. I was before I had all this, and I am after still, and I think that's really important to keep that positive mind frame. But yeah, it's not really from asthma, it's always been from POTS attacks. So I've had it at work before where I've just fainted because my heart rate has gotten so high and my blood pressure at the same time has plummeted, and I've just been like, down. She's out of here, she's gone. So yeah, the POTS is a really kind of difficult thing to manage, just as bad as the EDS pain in honesty, because going upstairs my heart rate will go up to 150, like that's not normal. You should be able to go up the stairs and like climb some stairs without your heart rate just maxing out. So it's definitely something that's difficult to deal with, like being lightheaded all the time. The next one I'm going to go on to is my rarest condition. It's like I'm collecting these things. Now this one is a really weird one. It's called Superior Mesenteric Artery Syndrome, and it's why I currently have this feeding tube. Can you see it? I put skin coloured tape on, and I'm actually feeding right now. So convenient. No more time spent on preparing meals. I'm joking, I miss cheeseburgers. I miss burgers so much. But yeah, I'm actually feeding right now. I've got my pack in this cute little backpack. You get one free with the Nutritia stuff when they send it to you, but it's really tiny. It only fits the bag and it's kind of ugly. Sorry, Nutritia, but it's black and it's just plain. So I've just got my feed right now. I'm going to try and get it out so you can see. So this is what I'm currently feeding on, and here's my little handy dandy pump. So I'm currently, I have a backpack, which means I can put all my university books in there as well, my iPad, and kind of just feed on the go. So yeah, I'm going to read out a little description about superior mesenteric artery syndrome because it's not something I 100% know about either myself. It says it's a digestive condition that occurs when the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, is compressed between two arteries, which are your aorta and your superior mesenteric artery. So this causes partial or complete blockage of the duodenum. Now, my problem with this is that it just randomly got so much worse. Usually it happens if people lose a lot of weight. It can happen then. But for me, it was the reason as to why I lost a lot of weight. I'd been going to the gym, building all this muscle, and then I went from 64 kilograms to 53 in 2 weeks, which is mad. That's like hugely malnourished. It's like I lost 15% of my body mass, and malnourishment is when you lose 5 in 3 months. So it was really serious, and I saw my doctor, Professor Aziz. He's incredible. I'm so lucky to have him as my gastro specialist. He's just been amazing, and he basically made me do all these tests. I had an MRI, we tried sit feeds, we tried everything, and I would just bloat to the size of being pregnant. I would genuinely look pregnant. Even me and my boyfriend at one point were laughing. We were like, yo, we could prank our parents taking a picture of my belly after eating because it looked so realistic. I would also get huge abdominal pain, like really bad. I'd get shooting pains. I just get so much pain after I ate that I was not wanting to eat, which is really hard. Because then you get really hungry and you'd be like, oh no, I'll eat something, and then you remember the pain when it comes back and you're like, oh, this wasn't worth it. But yeah, so that was really difficult to deal with, and I just vomited everything. Literally nothing stayed down. So I was just losing all my fluids, everything, and there was just so much pain, and I was doing so much damage. Like, I'm a singer, so I didn't want to keep damaging my throat either, or my vocal cords by being sick all the time. But yeah, I got hugely malnourished, and we did the MRI, and basically you've got your aorta and then you've got your superior mesenteric artery. I think that's the right way around, and most people have a little fatty pocket in between that keeps the two. You've got your duodenum going through there, and it just keeps the two separated. Now my angle isn't like that, it's compressed, which means it blocks that part. So what my tube does, this is an NJ tube, which is a nasojejunum tube? Nasojejunum tube, I think you pronounce it, because it's the duodenum and the jejunum. I think that's how you do it. I do it very, very well. But yeah, so this basically goes up my nose, down my throat, down into my stomach, down into my duodenum, and past that to my jejunum, and that's where it gives me my nutrition, which is great because it's now like I can eat. And I've had tattoos and piercings and EDS pain. Starving is the worst pain I've ever been in my whole life. Like, people who have this condition and you have gastroparesis and things like that, I mean, it's hell. Like, it's the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. So I am so happy that I have this. And people are like, are you not sad that you can't eat? And I'm like, no, I'm just happy to not be painfully hungry all the time and weak and unable to walk because I have no energy. Like, it makes all your other pains so much worse. I am having a few difficulties tolerating it though. It seems like we did a barium swallow test where they put me on an x-ray and threw me around a little bit and tilted me up, and food just doesn't go they made me drink this liquid, and it just doesn't go from my stomach to my duodenum. It just stays there. Even when they tilt me around, it just trickles through. So you can imagine everything sits here, and food was fermenting in my stomach where it couldn't go and making me so sick. So it's a really good thing that I have now. But I'm meant to be on 50 mils for 20 hours a day to get 1,500 calories in me, and then I have a little sip feed that I can only do throughout the course of the day. Like, I cannot do, I mean, if they wanted to sip feed me, I'd have been on 9, and there's no way my body would have tolerated that much fluid. It would have just pooled in my stomach again, which it does really with 1 even anyway, so I sip it. I bought this from Primark, which is really cute. It's in my other video, but I just put it into here. Well, I will put it into here once I've used it, and then I'll just sip it as I go. But yeah, so right now I'm struggling because I'm still losing weight because I can only tolerate about 30 mils for the day. So I'm trying to leave it on for 24 hours, but even then it's not enough calories as I'm meant to have to put on weight. So we might have to look at a more, eventually a more long-term solution, like a JPEG, which will be this tube that goes into my jejunum, but it'll be through my stomach, or maybe surgery. But superior mesenteric artery syndrome is so rare. There's only a few thousand people in the world who have it, so trust me. So yeah, there's not a huge deal that's known about it right now. I feel like there's surgery, but lots of people find that they suffered whole paralysis and gastroparesis of their digestive system when they've had the surgery, or they'll staple it to another part so that it bypasses the compression, or they might cut that bit of intestine and loop it another place, and some people's pegs have pushed through their stomach. It's like a hook through your stomach. I'm just not into that. Like, I'd rather, unless I knew that it wasn't going to be any issues of it or any problems after, I'd rather just have a long-term tube, because right now this is doing well for me. But yeah, I made a friend in the hospital actually who has this as well, and she didn't tolerate. She's got other compressions, so she didn't tolerate this, and she's now on TPN, which is the one where you have a pip line through to your vena cava, and that is how you get nutrition. So hopefully I won't have to have that, but I do need to start tolerating more meals a day, otherwise it's not going to help me and I'm still going to be malnourished. But that's the really awkward, confusing one. The last one is mast cell activation, which is also why I might be struggling to cope with the amount of feed that I'm taking. Now, mast cell activation syndrome is an immunological condition in which mast cells inappropriately and excessively release chemical mediators. Can't talk, I've done too many videos today. Resulting in a range of chronic symptoms, sometimes including anaphylaxis or near anaphylaxis attacks. Now, primary symptoms include cardiovascular, dermatological, gastrointestinal, neurological and respiratory problems. So when I eat, I get very out of breath. I get a lot of pain, like my EDS pain flares up. This has always happened. I cut my diet so many times. I went veggie to vegan to liquid, like nothing helps. I get really bad eczema and itching when I eat, mainly on my head, which is why I wear a lot of wigs, because it's always quite painful, and at least this stops me from getting at it, and it gets a bit messy up there if you are scratching it, and I do it absent-mindedly, or I do it in my sleep, and it's just really, really annoying because it's quite painful. And then I also find that I was getting really bad nausea and like abdominal pain, bloating, so it's kind of stems from both of them, which I think is why I'm finding it difficult to tolerate all the feed as well. So that's the other one, and again, most people with EDS and POTS, I think they do have that issue. I think they kind of come together. But yeah, I also have asthma, and oh, my other thing, I always forget about this because I was born with this. I'm blind in my right eye. I'll show you. It's a little bit smaller. I do cover it because sometimes I get self-conscious and I get told off by my family and my boyfriend. But I just find that when I'm looking on camera, it's all I can see. So yeah, I was born blind. So it's called Micropthalmia, and it basically means my eye stopped developing in the womb, so it's underdeveloped. No, my mother was not an alcoholic or anything like that. It just happens. It's a bit rare. There was one thing that was linked to it, like pesticides or something was linked, and she used to walk the dog in a playing field where they're not meant to spray pesticides, but they did. So maybe that's why. But either way, I honestly couldn't care less about it. I worry about the way it looks sometimes, like everyone probably worries about things to do with their body. But yeah, it is what it is. I've never had two eyes, so I don't know any different. I'm not like, the only thing I miss on is 3D. y'all don't see 3D with one eye. It's really, really annoying. And my depth perception is hilarious because if I'm not clumsy enough already with my EDS, I will go pick up things, open a door, and I'll miss it because the depth perception just isn't there. And stairs look like one long line to me. So when you go on the underground and you've got like the stairs with the little gold bits that separate them, to me it looks like, which is freaky. So I'm always like holding onto the rail like, I'm gonna die. But that's my other thing. I think that's everything. Wow, there's a lot wrong with me. That's why it's important to stay positive. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or to ask me anything, I can do a video answering, or I can message you or anything. It'd be cool to know and reach out to more of the EDS and others community. But yeah, I hope that was informative in any way, and I will see you soon. Bye!